Hi, good afternoon. So, I think Sakas and Kushanas we completed. Last thing was your Sakas, Satavahan. Last was Satavahan. दिखाना एक मिनट. अच्छा, मैं इसमें देख रहा था. कुशाना डायनेस्टी. ठीक. So, I think what we need to start today. So after Satavahans we'll be talking about today Sangam age. ठीक है. क्या बोला था क्या उस दिन कि what I'll going हाँ same thing is written over here, South Indian kingdoms, that is Sangam age. So did I mention about the two kinds of chola? हाँ, so अभी उसको बात करेंगे. ठीक है. So basically एक मिनट, just let me check this markers. So after this Satavahans, we need to talk about this Sangam age in the South India. Okay? And this Sangam age, and then after this Sangam age, we will talk about the Gupta period in the North India. Okay? So Sangam age is particularly related to the, we have also read about the, this in Sangam age, about this thing, what was that thing, that literature, Sangam literature. So that Sangam literature was something that was about the, this Tamil literature. Okay? So it was all about the Tamil literature. And what was the meaning of the Sangam? हाँ हाँ मतलब assembly of the poets. ठीक है. This was a kind of the assembly of the poets. And actually when we talk about the Sangam age, so it also means that ki assembly of the three rulers. ठीक है. And these three rulers were Chola, Chera and Pandyas. Chola, Chera and Pandyas. And out of these three, we can say that all of them were important, but somehow these Pandyas were more important in this period, particularly in this period. And they were the people who held these Sangam assemblies, and where these Cholas, Cheras and saints, every person who was there in the this South Indian part, so they participated. Okay? So these were the three important dynasties which were there. So basically, if we look by the map of India, so this lower portion, okay? This lower portion, Madurai, okay? This one was by the Pandyas, okay? And here, over here, this was by the Cholas. In Tamil Nadu itself, and whole of the Kerala was your Cheras, okay? So this part was Chera. So Chera, Chola and Pandyas were there. Then further, we need to talk about this, there where I said to you the two kind of Chola were there. So this is particularly, this particularly Sangama age, it began in the around 2nd century BC or last of the 1st century BC. Okay? So Sangama age began around the last of the 1st century BC, not BC, AD. Okay? So it was there. Then, sorry. BC I told you, na? So last of the 1st century BC. And then this particularly, so this was around the initial of the last of the BC, लिखना नहीं है अभी, last of BC, 1st century BC and initial AD, ठीक है, they were there. Then further, one more dynasty would be there of the Cholas. These were called as the early Cholas, ठीक है, and the last under whom the temple architecture became grand, they were the mainline Chola. Okay? So mainline Cholas were there around the 8th century और 9th century, around 8th to 9th के बीच में थे in AD. And Raj Raja one was the one of the strongest ruler of the same who made that Brahideswara temple. ठीक है. So they were the different people and these people were the different ones. ठीक है. So कुछ लिख लो इसमें कि in the early centuries of the Christian era, क्रिश्चियन एरा का मतलब हो गया कि एडी, स्टार्ट ऑफ द एडी. ठीक है. सो क्रिश्चियन एरा, three important dynasties emerged in the extreme south. ठीक है. And these are your Chola, Chera and Pandyas. These are Chola, Chera and Pandyas. How many of you attended yesterday's essay session? Acha, 2, 3. I saw you. You were there on the video. So you also attended. बाकी लोग भी देख लेना videos. Particularly, I found that second part was quite interesting. Second part of the discussion. Did you saw that? Discussion. First saw that. पूरा देख लेना. First was also and second was also very good. And second was the one which was quite. I was also seeing the same on the YouTube. So I found that both were quite good, but second I found that it was some points were there which will fetch you marks. ठीक है. तो एक बार देख लेना ऐसे वाला सेशन जो इस बार का 4 हो, not 4, 8 were there ना? How many topics were there? 8 topics were there. So all the 8 were discussed and strategies were also there. एक बार रियल टाइम एनालिसिस होगा कि यूपीएससी के क्वेश्चन पे देन यू आर डूइंग द एसे. ठीक है. पहले क्या होता है कि जो इसके पीछे ऐसे सेशंस होते हैं उसमें यूपीएससी के क्वेश्चंस नहीं है, हमारे अपने क्वेश्चंस है विजन आईएएस के. उसके बेसिस पे यू आर राइटिंग योर आंसर्स एंड व्हाटएवर. बट यूपीएससी के क्वेश्चंस पे एक बार देखो एंड आफ्टर सीइंग द वीडियो यू राइट वन एसे ऑल्सो. ठीक है. एक ऐसे लिखना एंड यू कॉन्टेक्ट मैम. She will check that essay. At least she will help you. So this Chola, Chera and Pandyas. So first we'll talk about this Cholas. Okay. So and here we are writing early Cholas. तो डिफरेंस पता चल जाएगा जब बाद में पढ़ेंगे. तो अर्ली चोला एंड अर्ली चोला में सो इसमें देयर वाज वन किंग हुज नेम वाज इलारा. ठीक है. And Ilara was one of the first important king of this dynasty, and Ilara won Sri Lanka. ठीक है. He won Sri Lanka and then he established the Chola Mandalam. ठीक है. या Chola rule. So you write one of the initial rulers of Cholas was Ilara, who won Sri Lanka, and established Chola Mandalam. ठीक है. And then they also had a kind of coastal areas. They were also very close to the coastal areas, and that's how they won the Sri Lanka. And particularly the Jaffna part that you see today, so that was the one part which was won by him. Okay. Then further you write, he made Kaveri Patnam as its capital. He made Kaveri Pattanam as its capital. Okay. Then you write another important ruler of this dynasty. दूसरा लिखो. Another important ruler of this dynasty was Karikala. So Ilara was the first important ruler and also the initial ruler, and then second important ruler was your Karikala, and he established the city of Puhar. He established the city of Puhar. Puhar. He established the city of Puhar on the banks of river Kaveri. on the banks of river Kaveri. Okay? So if exactly you want to know how they mix the question with the geography, okay? So many a times they used to ask that this dynasty was in between which rivers. Okay? So the Chola was, it was in between the Vaigai and Pennar river. Okay? So you write the Chola Mandalam was in between Vaigai and Pennar river. Vaigai and Pennar river. Geography में भी ये जब map making करोगे ना तो these two rivers are very important. And what I have seen that in last 7 years, 2 times these two rivers has been asked by UPSC in the prelims. It was there in the option. तो ये छोटे छोटे rivers हैं. But हम क्या करते हैं कि when we are going through the maps ना, we miss this छोटे छोटे information. And even there are very small rivers which are there in the Gujarat. ठीक है. तो उसको भी ध्यान में रखना. जब India environment पढ़ते हो ना, second वाली geography. The second one. So these all rivers are given over there. So you must not forget to remember this all names. Okay? So this was there. Then one more thing about the rivers. Every year when you are going through India yearbook, India yearbook will be released in the January itself. Okay? So when you are going through India yearbook, तो India yearbook में जो India का geography वाला topic है, lesson है, उसमें जो rivers दिए होते हैं, that rivers are very important from the PT perspective. And what I have seen that out of 7 years, 5 साल तो उसी में जो rivers हैं उसी में से पूछा है. ठीक है? तो last year in 2016 we were kind of that we were predicting that कि they will ask something related to the Brahmaputra and their tributary, and the same was the asked. ठीक है? तो tributary, left bank tributary, right bank tributary, तो इसलिए India yearbook important है. Even जो डिफेंस वाला चैप्टर है ना उसमें, ठीक है? सो इवन यू गो थ्रू द डिफेंस चैप्टर एंड वट एवर क्वेश्चन रिलेटेड टू द डिफेंस विच वेर आस्क्ड इन प्रीलिम्स, दे आर फ्रॉम द इंडिया ईयर बुक. फिर उसके बाद इन्वायरमेंट में चले जाओ. सो अकॉर्डिंग टू मी 3 चैप्टर्स आर इंपॉर्टेंट: इन्वायरमेंट, डिफेंस एंड दिस पॉलिटी एंड ज्योग्राफी वाला. ठीक है? सो ये 4 चैप्टर्स तो कतई से मत छोड़ना. ठीक है? यू नीड टू रिवाइज दिन एंड यू गो थ्रू दिस 4 चैप्टर्स ऑफ द इंडिया ईयर बुक. रेस्ट ऑफ द थिंग्स यू कैन लीव. So come back to this Chola. So Karikala, he established the city of Puhar, and this Chola Mandalam was in the Vaigai and Penna river. And then further one more information about this dynasty is that there was one city in this particular Chola dynasty, and name is Urayur. ठीक है? It was known for the cotton, textile and trade. ठीक है? Cotton, textile, industry and trade. So you write one of the city, Urayur, cotton, textile, and trade of cotton. Cotton, textile, industry. Urayur is known for cotton, textile, industry, and trade. Cotton, textile, industry, and trade. Even today in South India, there is one more very important cotton textile industry. Which place? Coimbatore, Madurai, both the regions. Okay? Coimbatore and Madurai. So that area is the one. And main cotton textile industries are there in the Mumbai. Mumbai is the one, and then Ahmedabad, Surat, Mumbai, and then that circle. तो वो geography में सर तो पढ़ाएंगे तुम लोगों को कि वो corridor जो होते हैं, ठीक है? तो that corridors used no, that is part of the mains. Maybe that's the one because of that कि it has not been covered till today. तो वो उस टाइम पे वो आपको पढ़ाएंगे कि there are different industrial corridors, ठीक है? तो western industrial corridor में that starts from the Mumbai, Pune also comes into the same. Thane, Nasik, Pune, Kalyan, and Ahmedabad, Surat, and that's why bullet train is between the two. Okay? So there is a link between the two. Then the southern corridor, which includes the Chennai, Bangalore, Madurai, Coimbatore, okay? These all areas, and eastern one, Kolkata, and then southern one from Delhi to Ludhiana, Amritsar, till this part. Okay? So these 4 corridors are most important. Okay? इसके accordingly देख लेना, and even things related to IR and even the initiatives which are there in the IR section, like you will be seeing that there was an initiative from the Chennai to Thailand linkage. There was a sea route which was they were going to maintain, and so many facilities were provided. So they are also taken care because of this industrial corridors. Okay? So industrial corridors are very important from that perspective. Okay? Even Jaipur falls under the this Delhi corridor. Okay? So उसमें ये पता चलेगा तुम लोग को. So this was also known for the Urayur is known for the cotton trade industry and the textile. Okay? Then come to the Cheras. Next dynasty, Chera. So Cheras. So Cheras were there in the Kerala, and that's how they are also known as the Kerala Putras. So you write, they are also known as the Kerala Putras. Kerala Putras. Kerala Putras. Okay? Then you write, its capital was at Karur. Karur. Its capital was at Karur. Karur. Okay? Then a very initial ruler of this Chera was your Udainjaral. So you write, initial ruler of this Cheras was Udainjaral. Initial ruler was Udainjaral. Okay. Who established the Mujeri port. Mujeri's port. To establish the Mujeri port. And still this Mujeri port is in the news. From last 2-3 years, those who are from Kerala, they must be knowing. So this is in the news. This is the initiative of the Kerala government also and central government also. So Mujeri Heritage Pariyojana is going on. Okay? So this Mujeri Heritage Pariyojana, in that perspective, it is important. Okay? So Mujeris. And this port was made by this Udainjaral to connect with the Roman world, for the trade with the Roman world. Okay? And that's how government of India is also focusing on the same, to reconnect the same with the Roman world. Okay? Through the Red Sea and then that Mediterranean. Okay? So Red Sea ke through pass hote hue, and then that Suez Canal, and through that it is going to the Mediterranean. Okay? So that was there. Then further right, the most important ruler of this dynasty was Senguttavan. The most important ruler of this dynasty was Senguttavan. ठीक है? Then you write, he is the one, इसी के बारे में question पूछा था कि who is the red Chera ruler? ठीक है? तो he is known as the red Chera or good Chera. ठीक है? तो you write, he is known as red Chera or good Chera. Red Chera or good Chera. ठीक है? बताओ, इस पे दिक्कत हो गई, गुड चेहरा. ठीक है? So red chera or good chera. Then further, there was one very important thing about him, that why he was called as that. He was a pious and he was a very good ruler who used to take care of the people, and also that he was very religious also. Then he was very morally upright person also. So he is known for making the temple of Kannagi. Okay? And Kannagi is the goddess of chastity. So goddess of purity or chastity. Okay? So you write, he made the temple of Kannagi. He made or built, whatever you write. So he made or built the temple of Kannagi, who is considered as goddess of chastity. Who is considered as goddess of chastity. Goddess of chastity. ठीक है? Done? So this was about the Cheras. Then come to the Pandyas. So Pandyas and initial ruler, okay? So in this Pandya, so initial ruler was your Mudu Kumudi. Names are difficult in this section, particularly in this section. इसके पहले तुम लोगों ने पढ़ा भी नहीं होगा, इसलिए difficult लगेंगे. So Mudu Kumudi, ठीक है? तो you write initial ruler was Mudu Kumudi. Initial ruler was Mudu Kumudi. Mudu Kumudi. Then further right, the capital of the Pandya was Madurai. Capital of the Pandyas was Madurai. Madurai, ठीक है? Then further right, Pandya rulers are known for patronizing the three Sangam assemblies. Patronizing the three Sangam assemblies. Patronize the three Sangam assemblies. Outcome of which was Tamil language and literature. Tamil language, literature, and start of Bhakti movement in South India. Start of Bhakti movement in South India. So did we talked about that thing कि उस दिन when we talked about this Sangama literature and all these things, so did we talked about that Bhakti movement that was after that, ठीक है? So वो नहीं लिखा है. So did we talked about Alavars and Nayanars? नहीं बात किया, तो उसको यहीं पे नोट डाउन कर लो. सो यू राइट कि लिखो कि भक्ति मूवमेंट में लिखो कि आफ्टर द संगम असेंबलीज टू काइंड ऑफ डिवोटीज. आफ्टर द संगम असेंबली टू काइंड ऑफ डिवोटीज इमर्ज्ड इन साउथ इंडिया. In South India, ठीक है? Who were Alvars. First you write Alvars, and Alvars were whom? They were the devotees of Lord Vishnu, ठीक है? So Alvars, so in brackets you write devotee of Lord Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu includes Ram, Krishna, everyone, ठीक है? All the 10 incarnations of the Vishnu. So Lord Vishnu. Then devotee of Lord Vishnu, and then further right, second Nayanars, and they are devotee of Lord Shiva. Devotee of Lord Shiva. Devotee of Lord Shiva. So devotee of Vishnu and devotee of Lord Shiva, these two were there. Then further, they इसी में लिखो कि they started to compose these two, this Alvars and Nayanars. So they started to compose simple religious poems in Tamil. Which were known as Tevarams and Tevakrams. ठीक है? And actually when anything is written in a very simple language, so it is easily understandable by the people. So though Tamil was created in the Sangam assemblies, but the reach of the Tamil to the common people was because of this Tevaram and Tevakrams by the Alvars and Nayanars. ठीक है? तो ये लिखो कि this led to spread of Tamil in various part of South India. ठीक है? और एक और चीज था कि one more thing that we are not going to write, but we need to listen over here that what was that thing that we talked about that in South India. The temple architecture started under the Pallavas, ठीक है? And Pallavas were just after these rulers, just after this Chola, Chera and Pandyas. So Pallavas were in the 6th century AD, ठीक है? They were around 6th century AD, and this 6th century AD was known for this Tevaram and Tevakrams and Alvars and Nayanar saints, ठीक है? So that's how the Vishnu and Shiva temple came into being. So after the Pallavas came Cholas, ठीक है? And this bhakti movement was going on, ठीक है? 8th century में पढ़ोगे कि there came one of the greatest saint of that point, that time, and even of the Hinduism, Shankaracharya, ठीक है? So 8th century AD, Shankaracharya came, and at that point of time, bhakti movement was on its height in the South India. We are not talking about the North India. North India में that is different, ठीक है? In South India it was at height. So Tevarams and Tevakrams were there, Alvars and Nayanars are there. So these two divisions. So that's how in the Chola period, ठीक है? Chola started to construct the temples related to the Shiva, and that's how Brihadeswara temple is the Shiva temple, one of the greatest temples, ठीक है? Then Alvars का सबसे बड़ा temple कौन था उस period में? Which got started in that period. The devotion of that deity got started in that period, but final touch of that was given by the Vijayanagar rulers. Okay? So there is one temple which is dedicated to Lord Vishnu. One of the richest temples of India. No. One of the richest, not the richest. क्या बात है तुम लोग की जुबान पे भी नहीं है. तिरुमला तिरुपति देवस्थानम. ठीक है? So that is the Venkata Swami, ठीक है? So that is the temple of the Venkata Swami, ठीक है? Venkata Swami, and Venkat is the Vishnu, one form of the Vishnu, ठीक है? He was there. So that particular devotion towards the this Vishnu got started in the 3rd century AD itself, ठीक है? But वहाँ पे लोग was devoted towards him. But further, it got impetus during the 6th century AD, and then some kind of temple was made. So every ruler who was coming into being, so वो कुछ न कुछ वहाँ पे construct करता था. That is, Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam is not the contribution of one ruler. So every ruler, even this Pandyas do contributed something, ठीक है? Then this Cholas contributed a little bit, and then finally Pallavas contributed, Cholas contributed, and finally in the Vijayanagar period during the Krishna Devaraya, okay? So the present structure which is there in the Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam is because of the Krishna Devaraya, okay? So he donated a lot towards that. So that's how these two branches emerged in the South India, the two bhakti movements, and it has its origin in the संगम एरा, ठीक है? सो दैट यू गॉट टू नो कि कहां से स्टार्ट हुआ, ठीक है? देन नाउ कम टू द सम ट्रेड रिलेटेड एस्पेक्ट ऑफ दिस 3 किंगडम्स, ठीक है? सो नाउ यू चेंज पैराग्राफ एंड देन यू राइट कि all these three dynasties were endowed with, all these three dynasties were were endowed with rich natural resources. ठीक है? तो एक तुम लोग खुद सोच के बताओ कि इस एरिया में व्हाट कुड बी दैट रिच नेचुरल रिसोर्सेस. अपने पे सोच के बताओ. नहीं, नेचुरल रिसोर्स तो फर्टाइल लैंड से जो निकलेगा वो होगा ना. स्पाइसेस, हाँ, वेरी गुड. स्पाइसेस इज द वन थिंग. तो चेरा कंट्री वाज नोन फॉर द स्पाइसेस. Then these were also the coastal countries, and at that point of time these coastal areas were not that disturbed, so even the pearl production was at its height. ठीक है? So मोती का production काफी बड़े लेवल पे होता था, pearl production. And then also these areas are known for the elephants. ठीक है? So that a trade of the ivory was also one of the important feature, and that's how today Roman worlds had more elephant ivory than that is there in the India. Though elephants are more in India and Indonesia and Thailand, okay? But more ivory products are there in the Roman world. Okay? Because of that, from very ancient time, these all things were traded to the Roman world. Okay? So basically, pearls, ivory, cotton, and spices. These four things were traded. Okay? So you write, likho, ki their elephant supplied ivory. Their elephant supplied ivory. Their elephant supplied ivory, comma, then they procured pearls from the seabed. They procured pearls from the seabed. From the seabed. Then you write, comma, फिर करके लिखो. Even in this area, you also know that gold was also known to them. ठीक है? Kolar mines. ठीक है? So kind of a precious or semi-precious stones were also there. So you also write precious and semi-precious stones from the mining. Precious and semi-precious stones from mining. From mining. And spices from the naturally grown orchards. And spices from the naturally grown orchards. Okay? Spices from the naturally grown orchards. Okay? So naturally grown orchards. So they got these elements, and these all were traded to the Roman world. Okay? So, and cotton you also mentioned. Spices and cotton. ठीक है? Cotton भी add कर लेना उसमें. Cotton. And then you write, all these articles were exported to the Roman world. All this article was exported to the Roman world, which provided rich revenue. Which provided rich revenue to all these three kingdoms. Okay? And by the 6th century AD, all of them got declined. Okay? So you write, by the 6th century AD, paragraph change करके लिख लेना. So all these kingdoms declined. All these kingdoms declined. Okay? Then this was till 6th century AD in the South India. Then we need to talk about from the beginning of after the Sakas and this Kushanas, who were the rulers in the North India. Okay? So starting from the 2nd century AD until 6th century AD, Guptas were the main ruler. Okay? So we need to talk about the Gupta age. So now come to the Gupta age in North India. Gupta age. So who was the initial ruler of the Guptas? Sri Gupta. We did talked about the same. So Sri Gupta was the initial ruler, and he was followed by the Ghatotkacha. Okay? So next was your Ghatotkacha, but most important initial ruler was your Chandragupta first. Okay? So next was your Ghatotkacha. Okay? So you write, after the decline and disintegration of Kushanas in 3rd century AD, several smaller dynasties continued to flourish. continued to flourish. Then further right, these smaller dynasties were subjugated. These smaller dynasties were subjugated by the Gupta rulers. Comma, who again unified North India under one central authority. ठीक है? Then you write the initial ruler of this dynasty was Sri Gupta. Around 230 AD. Around 230 AD. ठीक है? Then you write 230 AD के पहले he was followed by his son Ghatotkacha. ठीक है? Then you write, but the most important initial ruler was Chandragupta first. ठीक है? Then इसके पहले, before that, Chandragupta first, Guptas were also under the Sri Gupta and Ghatotkacha. They were also a very small dynasty. They were not a very big dynasty. And when Chandragupta first came into being, so he was the person who unified all the North India. Okay? So that particular unification of the all North India happened by the 319 AD. Okay? So right, he unified the North India in 319 AD. In 319 AD. Then you write, and to mark his succession to throne, Chandragupta first started Gupta era in 319 AD. Gupta era in 319 AD. Gupta era in 319 AD. ठीक है? तो 319 AD में he established. Then further. Gupta era got started. He declared that this is the beginning of the Gupta era, and 3119 would be considered as the 0 year of the Gupta era. Okay? So it means that it would be 319 would be the 0 year. Okay? It will be starting from that. Okay? And that particular day when he accessed to the throne would be the very first day. Okay? So this is there. Then now come to the a few knowledge about the Chandragupta. So Chandragupta first. So first we'll see that what was his contribution. So Chandragupta first. And what was the initial capital of the Guptas? हाँ बताओ, तेज बोलो. नहीं, Patliputra was not there. No idea. Prayag. ठीक है? तो Prayag was their capital. ठीक है? And later, after Chandragupta first was your this Samudragupta. ठीक है? And then after Samudragupta was your Chandragupta second. ठीक है? So Chandragupta second के time पे it got shifted to the Ujjain. ठीक है? So two capitals were there. One is your Prayag and later it was Ujjain. So they moved out from the Bihar Patliputra. ठीक है? So इसको लिख लेना कि initially Prayag was the capital of was the capital of, and that's how did I talked about that why the name Prayag was there, Praya Yagya, okay? So these were the people who used to do the Praya Yagya, they used to call, and they were the people who started to patronize the Brahminical religion, okay? So that's why so many yags were happening, and that's why it was named as the Prayag, okay? So likho ki Chandragupta first क्या लिखा है? ओ, उसको तो लिख लिया, मुझे लगा कि तुम लोगों ने अपने मन से लिख लिया, ठीक है? अदरवाइज ठीक है, तो इनिशियली प्रयाग वाज द कैपिटल, अभी वहीं पे छोड़ देना, एंड देन यू स्टार्ट विद द चंद्रगुप्त फर्स्ट, ठीक है? आई थॉट दैट यू हैव रिटन, एक बार बोला, so actually what was his policy? So basically, rather than initially when he unified the North India, okay, so he did some military annexation, but more than that, he was for the matrimonial alliances, okay. So he went for the matrimonial alliances, and this was his focus, okay. So you write कि Chandragupta first extended the territory of empire through matrimonial alliances with the adjoining kingdoms. Okay? Then what was the major thing that he did? Major marriage, which was the one of the very important and one of the very strong dynasties which were there, who ruled the whole of the, you can say that whole of the Bihar, and that was where Lichavis, okay? So Lichavis of the Vaishali, they were there, and these Lichavis, so he married the Kumara Devi of Lichavi, okay? And after marrying the Kumara Devi of Lichavi, he just respected that marriage, and he issued the Kumara Devi coins, okay? So a particular kind of coins were released, gold coins were released, they were known as the Kumara Devi coins, which we needed to write this year question, okay? So, likho ki he married the Lichavi princess, Kumar Devi. He married the Lichavi princess Kumar Devi, and to mark the marriage, special Kumar Devi coins, Kumar Devi gold coins, special Kumar Devi gold coins were released, special Kumar Devi coins were released. Okay? So this was about the Chandragupta first, but we need to talk about the Samudragupta. So many things are related to the Samudragupta, and after completing that, in the economy, we'll talk about all these coins, that what were there, okay? Since they are also the art form, and they are also related with the monetization, okay? So we'll talk about the same and various features which were there on the coins, okay? So you write, the next ruler was Samudragupta. Period नहीं लिखा तो इसमें लिख सकते हो 319. Chandragupta was till 335, and 335 to 375 was the Samudragupta. Okay? So next ruler was Samudragupta from 335 to 75 AD. So Samudragupta was a little bit different from his father, and actually he was the one who was more of the view that there should be a military annexation. Okay? Though he followed the matrimonial alliances, but he was more towards the military annexation. And that's how he won many kingdoms in the South India. Okay? So he extended the territories of the Gupta Empire in the South India and also in the western part of India. Okay? And then Samudragupta, so Samudragupta was the one who is written as that he was the one ruler who never faced any defeat. Okay? And this was inscribed at a place. The place was your Prayag, and this inscription says, this inscription was written by the court poet of Samudragupta, Harisen. Okay? And what Harisen says, that Samudragupta won more than 100 battles. Okay? He won more than 100 battles, and he never faced a defeat. Okay? So that kind of appreciation was there. And this inscription later came to be known as Prayag Prashasti, ठीक है. Then this Prayag Prashasti has also few other things. What is that? It is said that initially this Prayag Prashasti was related to the Asoka, ठीक है. So there are some inscription related to the Asoka are also there in the Prayag Prashasti, and then later some inscriptions related to the Akbar's period is also there, ठीक है. So some few things related to the Akbar period was also there, and after the death of the Akbar, this Prayag Prashasti was brought to the Mughal court by Jahangir, ठीक है. So still it is there in the museum, not in the Allahabad, but in New Delhi itself, but it was brought to the court by the Jahangir, ठीक है. So that was the one thing. So you write कि Samudragupta लिख लिया ना कि he extended the throne, followed by that. So you write Samudragupta extended the political frontiers. Samudragupta extended the political frontiers through military annexation. Through military annexation. Through military annexation, ठीक है. Then you write एक और चीज जो which was there in the Vedic period and it was revived by the Pushyamitra Sung, and again it was done by the this guy Samudragupta. What was that? Ashwamedha Yagya, ठीक है. So you write he also performed and revived Ashwamedha Yagya. Ashwamedha Yagya, ठीक है. फिर फुल स्टॉप करके लिखो the political achievements of Samudragupta has been mentioned by his court poet Hari Sen, in an inscription at by his court poet Hari Sen, Harisena, Hari Sen, in an inscription known as Prayag Prashasti, ठीक है. और ब्रैकेट्स में थोड़ा प्रयाग प्रशस्ति के बारे में लिख लेना, ठीक है. सो यू राइट इन द ब्रैकेट्स दैट व्हाट वाज देयर इन द प्रयाग प्रशस्ति. It includes the initial inscription of Asoka, plus Samudragupta and later Akbar. ठीक है. बट मोस्ट ऑफ द पार्ट, ठीक है, इसमें स्टॉप करके सुन लो. सो एंड लेटर अकबर के बाद देन तो मोस्ट ऑफ द पार्ट अराउंड 90% ऑफ द थिंग्स वर रिलेटेड टू द समुद्रगुप्त ओनली, ठीक है. सो दिस वाज द वन थिंग. देन यू राइट इफ वी बिलीव लिखो इफ वी बिलीव द अकाउंट ऑफ हरिसेन, if we believe the account of Harisen, Samudragupta never faced any military defeat. Samudragupta never faced any military defeat. ठीक है. Then a few more things related to the Samudragupta. Though you see that he was the one who a kind of that he revived the Ashwamedha Yagya. So it gives an impression that he is an intolerant person. कि समुद्रगुप्त एक तो देखो कि he followed the military annexation policy and then he did revive this Ashwamedha. So it gives an impression that he was a kind of aggressive, but this was not the case. ठीक है? So he was not that aggressive. It was just a matter of the policy that he followed. But he was a great lover of the music and art. ठीक है? One is your great lover of music and art, and then further he was also tolerant towards the Buddhist and Jainas. ठीक है? So tolerant towards Buddhist and Jainas, and even he established a very good relation with the Sri Lankan Buddhist king Meghvarman, okay? And he allowed Meghvarman, when Meghvarman requested that I want to construct that Bodh Gaya temple, so he allowed him, he gave him funding also, he gave him support also, and that's how the today's Bodh Gaya temple, या Bodh Gaya monastery came into being. It was constructed by the Sri Lankan king, ठीक है? Not by any Indian authority, ठीक है? So you write कि though aggressive in his policy, Samudragupta was a tolerant ruler. Samudragupta was a tolerant ruler. He was the great patronizer of music and art. He was the great patronizer of music and art. Okay? And this part can be elaborated where he patronized music and art. So in one of the coins, of the gold coins of this period, this Samudragupta is shown that he is playing veena. Okay? So you write कि in one of his gold coins, he is seen playing veena. He is seen playing veena. Playing veena. ठीक है? So that is the one. Then further, अब लिखो कि he also established a good relation. He also established good relation with the Buddhist king of Sri Lanka. Buddhist king of the Sri Lanka, Meghvarman. Buddhist king of Sri Lanka, Meghvarman. Okay? Then further right, he granted him permission to build the Buddhist monastery and temple at Bodh Gaya. Ministry and temple at Bodh Gaya. ठीक है? So all of the Gupta rulers, they were a kind of the liberal rulers. ठीक है? Though in the later period, after the Chandragupta II, Chandragupta first and Samudragupta was there, then Chandragupta II. So after the Chandragupta II, though the royal patronization to the Buddhism and Jainism, that was not there, but still they respected their failings. They allowed them to flourish at the same time. Though they focused on their own particular initiatives, but they didn't protested any of the Buddhist or Jainism activities. ठीक है? So they were throughout the history, they were a kind of a liberal rulers. ठीक है? And they also tried to slowly tried to ameliorate the position of the woman, which was very bad at that point of time. Though some initiatives were there, but not all initiatives were quite good. ठीक है? So you write Samudragupta was succeeded by Chandragupta II. Samudragupta was succeeded by Chandragupta II. Succeeded by Chandragupta II. ठीक है? And this Chandragupta II, ठीक है? So there is a mystery in this Chandragupta II period that we often don't get in the history books. So that is there, that you see that his particular period was from the 385. And you see that Samudragupta period got ended in the 375. So what about this in between 10 years? Something happened in between this in 10 years. So there was, this Samudragupta was followed by the Ramagupta. ठीक है? So he was, लिखना मत इसको अभी सुन लो पहले. ठीक है? So he was followed by the Ramagupta. ठीक है? And Ramagupta was married to a lady, and that lady was very beautiful. ठीक है? So that lady was very beautiful, and the Saka rulers of the Gujarat who were there, so these Saka rulers of that Gujarat, they were having a kind of eye on this lady. ठीक है? So they captured this lady. ठीक है? they captured this lady, and with a kind of षड्यंत्र from one of the cousins of the Ramagupta, whose name was the Devagupta. Okay? So one of the cousins of him, so Devagupta and this Saka ruler, they captured this lady. Okay? So a kind of a provocation was there. Okay? So Chandragupta was there. He was the governor of one of the provinces. So he became so furious, and it was a kind of a attack on the respect of the Gupta family. So what he did, that Chandragupta II, first what he did, that first he killed the Devagupta, okay? And then he killed the Saka rulers and came back with the lady, and then he married this lady to himself, okay? So Ramagupta was not able to save him, okay? Ramagupta was not able to save him, and lady just went away with this guy. So he married her, and then he started this Gupta dynasty, okay? So that was a kind of a tri-junction love. Okay? So, in the process, lady also fell in love with the Chandragupta II. Okay? So, you लिख लो इसको बीच में लिख लो कि only we will mention about this Saka ruler. Okay? So, Chandragupta defeated the Saka ruler of the West. The Saka ruler of the West, Chandragupta II. Samudragupta was succeeded by Chandragupta II लिखा है, और उसके बाद दिन लिखो Chandragupta II defeated the Saka ruler of the West to save the pride of Gupta dynasty. अब हम लोग को सिर्फ पता होगा कि what was that pride, ठीक है? So, and also many people know, but it is not written in most of the books. ठीक है? To save the pride of the Gupta family. ठीक है? And this was also the one reason, because the Sakas were very important. That's why he shifted to the central position, capital. ठीक है? So you write कि he shifted capital to Ujjain. He shifted capital to Ujjain. But retained Prayag as the first capital. तो basically इसका meaning क्या हुआ कि Ujjain was the second capital. तो these were the both कि दोनों capital थे. ठीक है? अभी इंडिया में भी दो capital का concept चलता है. ठीक है? हाँ, summer capital and winter capital. So basically in Jammu and Kashmir, two capitals are there. Summer capital is your Srinagar. Summer capital is Srinagar and winter capital is Jammu. ठीक है? In Himachal Pradesh, summer capital is Simla. ठीक है? And winter capital is Dharamsala. हाँ, winter capital is Dharamsala. ठीक है? So that is there. So these two capital concept used to be there. So there. Then further, after defeating this ruler and shifting the capital to Ujjain, he also took one title, and that title was your Vikramaditya. ठीक है? So you write Chandragupta II also took the title of Vikramaditya. Vikramaditya. So this was there. Then further, what about his policy towards the annexation? So his policy was both political annexation also and then marriages also. Okay? So you write, he also followed the policy of military annexation and matrimonial alliances. Military annexation and matrimonial alliances. Okay? Then basically matrimonial alliances were kind of a changed concept. Okay? Here it got changed, and what was that concept? That rather than matrimonial alliance but political marriages were happening. तो political marriages में क्या होता था कि दोनों साइड से exchange होता था. ठीक है? So if at all I am marrying to somebody from that side, तो I'll have to marry my daughter to that side. ठीक है? So that kind of political exchange was there. ठीक है? So you write, political marriages were the feature of were the feature of his period. Were the features of his period. ठीक है? So you write one example. तो लिखो कि he himself married a Naga lady. He himself married a Naga lady, Kuber Naga. He himself married a Naga lady, Kuber Naga, and his daughter was married to his daughter Prabhavati. His daughter Prabhavati was married to Vakatak ruler. हाँ same time, ठीक है. So he married Naga lady, and at the same time there was the same, ठीक है. So he married his daughter Prabhavati to Vakatak ruler Rudrasen. See, actually, when we see the things from the current perspective, the current lens, तो it seems a bizarre thing for us, ठीक है? But उस time पे ये सब कुछ चलता था, ठीक है? So this was there. But this is not a kind of a bad concept, ठीक है? हाँ, थोड़ा पैसे बचेंगे यार. This is rational, ठीक है? So this was there. So Rudrasena. Then, what is the most important thing about this guy, Chandragupta II? Okay, what happened in his period? And we need to talk about one book also, where all details of his period is written. Okay? But first you tell me that what was the major contribution of his period? We have already read about the same thing. हाँ, नवरत्नास. Very good. ठीक है? तो एक कोई नवरत्ना बताओ. कालिदास. ठीक है? So the development and advancement of the Sanskrit literature happened in this period. I do want to tell you a few things that how many of we know about that? We talked about this thing that this was Sanskrit was written in the Brahmi. Okay? This we talked. So initially Sanskrit was written in Brahmi, and till the whole of the before Christ era, okay, Sanskrit was there in the Brahmi. Okay? What was the first time when Sanskrit was written in any other script? Yes, Gupta age. And what was that script? It was not Devanagari. Okay? So basically we need to know. So first, dhyan se sunna, because these. So first you tell me that temple development. First I'll ask you the question about the temple development. So these temples also happened during the period of the Gupta. Okay? We have talked about the same, various stages were there. And the temple architecture in North India culminated into the which style? Nagara. Okay? So the umbrella style of the North India is Nagara. But have you ever questioned that why it was called as the Nagara? कोई और नाम भी तो दे सकते थे. Yes, very good. It was the Nagara means Nagar temple. Okay? The temple which is there in the Nagar, because that period, this Gupta period, it was a kind of a city kind of a urbanization was there. Okay? And many cities, Prayag, Kasi, this kind of many mythological city, Ujjain, emerged during this period. Okay? And they were on the banks of the river. Mostly, all of them were on the banks of the river. So it was also the emergence of the several Nagar. Okay? And several Nagar, on the basis of the several Nagar, the religious place which was there in the Nagar was called as the Nagara temple. Okay? So Nagar ka temple, and slowly it became the Nagara temple. So temples usually used to be there in the Nagara. Okay? Then further what happened? People started, Brahmi was becoming difficult for them. Okay? So the particular kind of apabhrams, how you understand na apabhrams? एक बार सुन लो कि apabhrams, what is apabhrams? That if a difficult language is there, suppose that some name is there, ठीक है? Any name is there, anything is there, which is difficult. So वो difficult है, तो जो लोग गांव के लोग होते हैं ना, उसको तोड़ के आसान शब्दों में बोलते हैं, ठीक है? तो not the very exact name is spoken, but some kind of corrupted word, yeah, deviated word is spoken. So that deviation from the original language is called the apabhrams, okay? So people started to speak the apabhrams of the Brahmi, okay? And a new kind of origin, new kind of script was developing at that point of time, and that script was your Nagari. Okay? So Nagari was the initial. Okay? So people were they were talking in the Nagari. So Nagari was the, so after Brahmi, transition happened to the Nagari. Okay? This was the script. And then this Nagari, so this Nagari was spoken by the people, and they started to write the things in the Nagari. Okay? And this Nagari, when the religious orientation was given to the Nagari, when religious scriptures. We also talked about that most of the Puranas were written during the Gupta period. Okay? Even the Bhagavad Gita was written in the 4th century AD. Okay? So these most of the important Hindu scriptures which were written during this period, so they were kind of a Deviya thing, okay? Devata thing, there was religious thing, and that's how this Nagari became Devanagari. Okay? And now onwards, Sanskrit was written in the Devanagari. That is the origin of the Devanagari. And the full-fledged shape to the Devanagari was provided by the 1000 BC, 1000 AD. Okay? The innovation and inclusion was continuous from the Gupta period, and the full-fledged form that we used to see today is the success of the 1000th century AD. ठीक है? So 1000 साल में लगभग, not 1000 साल, but 8 से 900 साल में देवनागरी डेवलप हुआ है. ठीक है? So now you got, and now you can link it with the temples, कि how temples were named and why this Nagari, then Devanagari, and how it shifted from the Brahmi to all this. ठीक है? So Kalidas was the one, and he was the one person who started to write in the Sanskrit in the Devanagari. Okay? So that Devanagari, and this was the, when it was written in the Sanskrit was written in the Devanagari, now it was easily understandable to the people. Okay? And then one also very important feature of that Sanskrit, propagation of the Sanskrit, that Sanskrit took form of the theaters. Okay? So these were written by the Kalidas, many Nataks were written by the many other people also, but Kalidas also. So these Nataks, people started to perform this Natak. So even the Gupta era can be considered as the start of the theaters in India. ठीक है? तो जब नाटक होते थे तो उसके थ्रू भी लोगों को आसानी से समझ में आता था. ठीक है? So that is the one thing. So it was about the golden period of the language and literature and Sanskrit. ठीक है? Then we did talked about the science and technology. Aryabhat was there in this period. Then further Varaha Mihir was one of the 9 jewels of this court. ठीक है? Who was a mathematician also, astronomer also. Then we talked about the metallurgy. ठीक है? तो metallurgy से भी related developments were there. Nagarjun was there in the Takshashila area. ठीक है? He was from the Takshashila University. तो metallurgy was also known to them. Weights and measures में काफी development हुए. Then which one? Brahmagupta was around 650 AD at the end of this one. ठीक है? He was around the end of the same. ठीक है? So we are not going to talk about him, but initially in this Gupta's period when it was flourishing, so these kind of people were there. Even Brihat Samhita. ठीक है? Brihat Samhita was also written during this period. ठीक है? So these all development happened during this period, and that's why Chandragupta II is the most important ruler of this dynasty as far as it is concerned to the art, architecture, science and technology. Okay? So you write the major contribution of Chandragupta II was development in art, architecture, language, literature, theaters, language, literature, theater, mathematics, astronomy, metallurgy, you know na, extraction of the metals. ठीक है? So metallurgy, ठीक है? And then are you right? Last one, right? After metallurgy, and development in weights and measures. development in weights and measures. ठीक है. Then you write he maintained the 9 Navaratnas. ठीक है. So you write he maintained 9 jewels in his court. He maintained 9 jewels in his court. और फिर 9 jewels को लिखना नवरत्न. ठीक है, नवरत्ना. नवरत्ना. ठीक है. So 9 jewels. Then further write the famous people in this Navaratna. ठीक है. तो famous of them, few of the famous were Kalidas, Amar Simha, ठीक है, वरा मिहिर, धन्वंतरी, etc. ठीक है. So Amar Simha was also one of the very important Sanskrit writers of that time. So Amar Simha and Kalidas, they were the important Sanskrit writers. And then this Varamihir, he's associated with the astronomy. ठीक है. And Dhanvantari was associated with the Ayurveda. ठीक है. So he was associated with the Ayurveda. Then you also write Vatsayan was also the contemporary of Chandragupta II. Vatsayan was also the contemporary of Chandragupta II. ठीक है. Chandragupta II. And he is the guy who wrote Kama Sutra, ठीक है, which talks about the 64 arts, not just one art. ठीक है. So you write who wrote Kama Sutra, which talks about the 64 forms of art. And actually the paintings, the basic concepts of the paintings are given in this book only. Okay? So that is there. Then what is the next thing related with this guy, that Chandragupta II? That again one Chinese traveler came into his court. Okay? So Fahian. So you write in his period, a Chinese Buddhist traveler, Fahian, ठीक है. So FA/HIEN, ठीक है, HIEN, Fahian, Chinese Buddhist traveler Fahian came to his court, ठीक है, ठीक है. Then further, what was his purpose? What was the purpose of the Fahian? To study the manuscript in the Nalanda University. ठीक है. And that Nalanda University was established by the Kumargupta, who is the son of the Chandragupta II. ठीक है. So he was the governor of that area and he established that university. ठीक है. So you write he came to study the Buddhist manuscript. He came to study the Buddhist manuscript at Nalanda University. ठीक है. Then he wrote one book also where he gives a socio-economic condition and details of the Chandragupta period. ठीक है. So you write कि Fahian wrote a book. And what was the name of the book? What is? Siyuki is the Hwensang. Yes, you are correct in that. At least you know. That is the appreciable thing. Fukuoki. ठीक है. So name of the book was your Fukuoki and Hwensang book was Siyuki. ठीक है. So we will be coming to that. So he wrote the book Fukuoki, where he gives a detailed account, K-U-A-O. Sorry, it is not A, K-U-O. Fukuoka, where he gives detail, elaborate detail about the socio-economic condition, during Guptas in North India. Condition during Guptas in North India. During Guptas in North India. Okay? Then one more thing related to the Chandragupta Maurya, not Maurya, Chandragupta second. हाँ पूछो. हाँ foreign traveler. But even Indians used to write in the favor of the king. Harisain used to write in the favor of the king. हाँ हिस्ट्री अब जो लिख दिया गया उसको वैसे ही मतलब हमें बिलीव करना है. अदरवाइज इफ यू डू हैव द एवेन्यूज दैट वेयर यू कैन क्वेश्चन, तो हिस्टोरियंस यूज टू क्वेश्चन. ठीक है, दैट्स व्हाई डिफरेंस ऑफ ओपिनियंस आर देयर. हाँ, that's why the history is, there is lot much scope in changing the history. It is just like the Indian political situation. You can always change it. ठीक है, you can change the government, you can change the PM. So it is just like that. So even it will be better that if we make our own Raga as the Prime Minister. Will it be okay? He did give one statement. I was kind of not just amazed, but I was shocked. Did you saw that statement that he said that the government of India fixed the ratings of the World Bank, ease of doing business. ठीक है? So government of India is that much. Even I was a kind of in appreciation of the government of India. Oh my God, that government of India is so powerful that it can fix the World Bank itself. ठीक है? Even America cannot fix that, but they can fix it. So these kind of statements, they are not getting anything. They are just giving the kind of bizarre statements. ठीक है? And that too without mind. So he can open the aloo ki factory. Yeah, just he cannot plant the aloo, but he can open the aloo ki factory. So actually there is not this thing that this government is doing very fantastic kind of thing. But what I can say that what is the durbhagya of India, that there is no opposition in India right now, no good opposition, and all of them, they are just taking the very petty issues, very small issues they are taking, and then that is of no use. उसका कोई काम ही नहीं है. ठीक है, अगर जो कोई अच्छा लीडरशिप होता ऑपोजिशन में, तो इट वुड हैव बीन अ डिफरेंट स्टोरी. एंड इवन द हाँ, straight away it comes from the PMO. They will have to choose that particular thing. What will they oppose? Because they are focusing on the petty things. ठीक है, petty things के अलावा कुछ और सोचो, कुछ और अपने आप को रिफाइन करो. ठीक है, introspect rather than introspecting, rather than accepting your own fault, you are finger pointing towards another people who are doing something. ठीक है, so छोड़ देते हैं. ठीक है, इसको छोड़ देते हैं. क्लास के बाद दिन फिर इस टॉपिक को पकड़ेंगे. सो द लास्ट थिंग अबाउट द चंद्रगुप्त सेकंड, दैट मेहरौली पिलर. ठीक है, सो मेहरौली पिलर वॉज मेड बाय हिम, मेहरौली आयरन पिलर. सो यू राइट, Chandragupta second erected the Mehroli iron pillar to mark the Vishnu worship. To mark the Vishnu worship. To mark the Vishnu worship. And then after Chandragupta II, so two more important rulers we need to see. So here only name is sufficient. So he was followed by Kumargupta, and his major contribution was the Nalanda University. Okay? And then came your Skandagupta, who had to face many invasions. Okay? So Skandagupta was the last important ruler. He was not the last ruler, but last important ruler. Okay? So he was the last important ruler, and Skandagupta faced invasion from the this barbaric tribes, ठीक है. तो he faced invasion from the barbaric tribes from the Central Asia, ठीक है. So these barbaric tribes were the Hunas, ठीक है. So these Hunas were there. So initially when Skandagupta was there, so he just met the threat, ठीक है. He met the threat and he challenged it and he was successful in the same, ठीक है. But further, after the death of the Skandagupta, the weak rulers of the Gupta period, they were not able to meet the threat of the this Huna tribe, and now they did had one leadership. After the death of the Skandagupta, their leadership was provided by the Toraman and Mihirkul. And these two were very barbaric also, and these two were very powerful also. So they just looted the whole of the Gupta territory. Okay? So later rulers were not able to face the same. So you write ki Kumar Gupta succeeded Chandragupta II. Succeeded Chandragupta II. And he was succeeded by Skandagupta. And he was succeeded by Skandagupta. Skandagupta, okay? Then you write, in his period, Skandagupta had to face the invasion. Skandagupta had to face the invasion from the barbaric Central Asian tribesmen. Invasion from the barbaric Central Asian tribesmen. Central Asian tribesmen who were known as Hunas. H-U-N-A. Hunas. It was around 480. It was around 480. So decline happened by 4 and till 550. Many Gupta's rulers were there, but in stray parts they were there. By 550 AD. 550 AD was the last of the Gupta period. ठीक है? So क्या लिखा था एक बार? Known as Hunas. ठीक है? Then you write, Skandagupta was able to defeat Hunas. Skandagupta was able to defeat Hunas. But the later rulers of the Guptas were not able to stand the invasion by Hunas, whose leadership was provided by Toraman and Mihirkula. ठीक है? Toraman, ठीक है? So Toraman and Mihirkula. Mihir, K-U-L-A. So Mihirkula, Toraman and Mihirkula. ठीक है? And it marked the end of the Gupta dynasty. ठीक है? तो लिखो इसको कि this marked the end of Gupta dynasty. This marked the end of Gupta dynasty. By the 5th century AD. By the 5th century AD. ठीक? फिर 2-4 लाइन और लिखो कि even though after full stop you write, even though some minor Gupta rulers continued to rule till the middle of 6th century AD. till the middle of 6th century AD. Till the middle of 6th century AD. Middle of 6th century AD. Okay, so this was there. So before moving into the same, economic conditions we'll talk, but in economic condition, first we'll talk about the coins of the Gupta. Okay, so your major heading would be coin economic conditions under the Gupta, and इसी में हम लोग बात करेंगे coins का. ठीक है? So you write economic conditions under Guptas. Economic condition. So what was the basis of the income in the Gupta period? It is as simple as you have read in the earlier period. Land revenues and nothing else. Okay? So basically land revenues were there, and then before moving into the land revenues, we need to know that the practice of land grants, okay, which got started in the Satavahans period. Satavahans were the first rulers who started to give the land grants to the Brahmins. Okay? So this land grants increased. It increased its pace in the Gupta period. Okay? So under Gupta, it increased its pace, and then now the land grants which were given to the Brahmana, they were called as the Agrahar. Okay? And this was in your question paper 2015. Okay? So Agrahar. So Agrahar means that land grants which are given to the Brahmanas, and these are the places. Agrahar are also the places where Brahmana used to live. Okay? So Agrahars and Cheris were two places. So Agrahars were the places where Brahmana used to live, and they belong to the Brahmanas. Okay? And Cheris were the places where Cheri. Okay? So Cheris were the places where Sudras used to live. Okay? So that is there. So this land grant took the form of the Agrahar, and it was given to the Brahmana. It increased its pace, and it further led to the feudalism in India. Okay? A kind of de-urbanization. Okay? Then further, economy was, abhi mat likho, ruko sun lo, ठीक है? तो in this period, the economy was also highly monetized. Okay? So it was highly monetized. And which kind of coins were there in this period? Gold coins were there, but apart from gold coins were there, apart from copper, silver. Okay? So apart from copper and silver, large number of gold coins were there. Okay? And even large नहीं बोल सकते हो, ancient period का largest number of the gold coins can be said. Though we have seen in the Kushana period large number of the gold coins were released, but not that large as it is there in the Gupta period. Okay? So very large number of the gold coins were released, but this large number of gold coins, they were not same in the purity level as when it is compared with the Kushana coin. So if Kushana's coins were the 22 or 23 carat, so these gold coins were around 18 to 19 carat. Okay? So its carats were a little bit less, but large number were there. But the major feature of their coins was that ki several art was there on their coins. Okay? And we used to get several information about the kingdom from their coin. Okay? Not just the economic but also social attributes of the period we can see from the same, and also music and art we can see from the same. Okay? So about women also. So this was there. So you write, likho ki the Gupta rulers continued the practice of giving lands. The Gupta rulers continued the practice of giving lands to the Brahmins. To the Brahmins. Okay? Then further rate, these land grants were known as Agrahar. These land grants were known as Agrahar. Agrahar. Okay? Then further rate, it led to de-urbanization. It led to de-urbanization in far-flung areas. In far-flung areas. Okay? Full stop. Then you write, Major source of the income, major source of the income major source of the income was land revenue, which was fixed at land revenue which was fixed at 1/6 of the produce. 1/6 of the produce in normal times. 1/6 of the produce. तो 1/6 in normal times, but जब adversity होती थी तो it used to change. तो 1/4 भी हो जाता था. Even in adversity it can reach up to 1/2 also. ठीक है? So but in adversities, हाँ, it can reach up to 1/2. हाँ, ज्यादा हो जाएगा. तो adversity में ज्यादा हो जाएगा ना. हाँ, it would become exploitative. पॉइंट तुम लोग का सही है. जस्ट गिव मी 1 मिनट. हाँ, 1/2 हो जाएगा तो एडवर्सिटी में इट विल बी बिकम मोर एक्सप्लॉइटेटिव. No, they were kind of not that they were favoring the peasants or not. हाँ, एडवर्सिटी मतलब वॉर ही हो गया एक्चुअली. यहाँ एडवर्सिटी का कंसर्न वॉर हो सकता है, नॉट द क्लाइमेटिक फैक्टर्स. ये हो सकता है कि किंगडम पे वो हो. आई कंफर्म दिस वन. ठीक है, बस इतना लिखो, एडवर्सिटी मत लिखो, बट इट कैन चेंज अप टू 1/2 ऑल्सो. इट्स अ गुड पॉइंट दैट यू पीपल हैव रेज्ड. मैंने भी नहीं सोचा था इसको कि एडवर्सिटी का मतलब, हियर वी नीड टू नो दैट विच काइंड ऑफ एडवर्सिटी वाज देयर. अगर जो क्लाइमेटिक एडवर्सिटी है तो दे आर नॉट द लिबरल रूलर्स, वो तो उल्टा चला जाएगा. ठीक है, तो वी नीड टू सी दैट कि हाँ एक्सप्लॉइटेटिव हो जाएगा. ठीक है, सो 1/2 तक चला जाता था. ठीक है, देन फर्दर यू राइट, आगे लिखो कि हाँ, दिस पीरियड was also known for very high level of monetization. Very high level of monetization. High level of monetization, full stop. Then you write, apart from silver and copper coins, very large number of gold coins were released. Very large number of gold coins were released. Very large number of gold coins were released, full stop. Then you write, but it was less in purity when compared to Kushana period coins. When compared to Kushana's period coin. When compared to Kushana's period coin. ठीक है? So it was of less purity. Then you write, coin art of the Guptas. That is numismatic art of the Gupta. So numismatic art or coin art of Gupta. Numismatic art or coin art of the Guptas. So these coins which were there. So we will talk about the two kinds of coins. Okay? Here, two kinds of coin. So one which is normal, which is more in circulation, and one special category of the coins. ठीक है? So first you see, इसमें लिखेंगे नहीं, बोर्ड से देख के लिख लेना. ठीक है? So वो फ्रेम नहीं करेंगे. So first you see that what was there in that Gupta period coins. तो in normal coins, ठीक है? Normal coins, एक साइड होगा ऑबवर्ड्स एंड वन वुड बी द रिवर्स. ठीक है? तो ऑबवर्ड्स एंड रिवर्स साइड. Obverse and reverse, and on obverse side of these coins there used to be image of the king. Image of the king. ठीक? So on the obverse side there used to image of the king. ठीक है? And then on the reverse side river side, image of Shakti goddess. Image of Shakti goddess. So who all are considered under the Shakti goddess? शक्ति गॉडेस का मतलब हो गया, शक्ति कल्ट का मतलब हो गया पार्वती, यस पार्वती, लक्ष्मी एंड दुर्गा, ठीक है, यस. सो इमेज ऑफ शक्ति गॉडेस दैट इज पार्वती. मोर वाज लक्ष्मी because they were the Vaishyas na, so more coins were there of the Lakshmi and then Parvati and Durga. Parvati and Durga, ठीक है. Then in special category of the coins, ठीक है. तो in special category of the coins, what was there? That these category of the coins were either, again it can be divided into two. One was your Kumara Devi coins. Kumara Devi coins. It is a type of the coin, ठीक है. And one is your artistic coin. Artistic coins. So in Kumara Devi coins, what would be there in the obverse and reverse? So, on the obverse side, image of both king and queen. ठीक है. So on the obverse side, image of both king and queen. ठीक है. And on the reverse side, image of the god. ठीक है. तो reverse side, image of god. Image of God, ठीक है. And artistic coins, so artistic expression on one side and then on the other side God, ठीक है. So in this one artistic coins, so artistic on the obverse side, obverse artistic expression, and इसी artistic expression में आता है समुद्रगुप्त प्लेइंग वीणा, ठीक है. सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल आर्टिस्टिक एक्सप्रेशन, फॉर एग्जाम्पल समुद्रगुप्त प्लेइंग वीणा, समुद्रगुप्त, फॉर एग्जाम्पल समुद्रगुप्त प्लेइंग वीणा, ठीक है. एंड ऑन द रिवर्स साइड God, ठीक है. And even there were also one more category of the coin which will come under the special coins. ऐसे लिख लेना, Garuda coins, Garud coins, ठीक है. तो it means that कि on one side there would be a Garud, ठीक है. There would be a Garud. Garud is the vehicle of the Lord Brahma, ठीक है. So विष्णु, ओ सॉरी, हाँ लॉर्ड विष्णु, ठीक है. सो व्हीकल ऑफ द, एंड व्हाट इज द व्हीकल ऑफ द लॉर्ड ब्रह्मा? कंफ्यूजन है मुझे क्या? लोटस फ्लावर पे स्वान ना, हाँ स्वान इज देयर, एक्चुअली स्वान इज देयर, बट स्वान पे तो सरस्वती इज देयर, दोनों, बोथ ऑफ देम, ठीक है. सो दैट इज देयर, बट दिस गरुड़ा इज देयर. देन दिस गरुड़ा कॉइन्स वर देयर. देन फर्दर द दिस क्या बोलते हैं वो, जैसे अपने यहाँ एम्बलम होता है ना कि स्टैम्प्स, ठीक है. तो स्टैम्प ऑफ दिस किंगडम वाज आल्सो द गरुड़ा, ठीक है. सो यू राइट दिस गरुड़ा coins were used as the stamp of the Garuda coins were used as the stamp of the Gupta period. Stamp of the Gupta period, ठीक है. Then what was the question which was asked this year? एक बार क्वेश्चन उसको लिखो, ठीक है. Then we'll see that what could be there, और उसको अपने एंड पे भी लिख के ले आना अगली क्लास में, ठीक है. सो मैं क्वेश्चन 1 मिनट बता रहा हूँ. हाँ, it would be there. I have requested, but not in next week. Next week. Next week, I think from tomorrow itself, ethics is there, na, and your batch is going to combine with the RB3. ठीक है. You people will meet the notorious members of the RB3. They are quite notorious. They only ask questions. They don't listen to the class. They do have the questions. They only have the questions in every class. So लिखो इस क्वेश्चन को लिखो. How do you justify the view? How do you justify the view that the level of excellence of the Gupta? How do you justify the view that the level of excellence of the Gupta numismatic art, and that is your coin art, ठीक है? तो numismatic art is not at all noticeable in later times. Is not at all noticeable in later times. This is a very open-ended question. ठीक है? एक बार देखो कि what they are saying that their numismatic art is not at all noticeable. ठीक है? In later times. और ये आपको ऑप्शन नहीं दे रहा है, आपको सीधे यही बोल रहा है कि हाउ डू यू जस्टिफाई दिस व्यू, इस व्यू को कैसे जस्टिफाई करोगे कि लेटर टाइम्स में ये नोटिसेबल नहीं है. तो इट इज नॉट गिविंग यू एनी ऑप्शन कि आप बोलेंगे कि नहीं नहीं दिखाई दे रहा था, कहीं कोने में छुपा हुआ था. ठीक है, सो दिखाई दे रहा था, कुछ लोगों ने छुपा दिया था. तो दिस काइंड ऑफ थिंग यू कैन नॉट talk over here. So you need to justify that it is not at all noticeable. So noticeable in the later times. तो what could be reason that can be attributed? तो ये तुमसे ये नहीं पूछ रहा है कि गुप्ता पीरियड के कॉइन्स में क्या था. This is not asking. But in the beginning you can talk about the same. कि you can talk about the Gupta period coins, that large number of gold coins were released, and these gold coins and other coins, they were a kind of that they were talking about the what was there in the kingdom. So it talks about that कि they respected the women also and Shakti worship also started. ठीक है, Kumar Devi of coin suggests that कि queen was also very important. This kind of information you can always write. ठीक है, then kind of religious practices which were there. ठीक है, so this kind of thing you can write. You can write about the Garuda coin, that what it was meant for. It was the stamp. ठीक है, so and very large number of these kind coins were released, but yes, it is not noticeable in the later periods, whose reason can be attributed to the following. ठीक है, so अब अपने एंड पे सोचो, and it is a very open-ended also and very interesting also. तो बताओ कि अपने एंड पे कि लेटर टाइम्स में क्यों नहीं दिखाई देता है. एक तो यहीं से स्टार्ट करो कि फर्स्ट विल स्टार्ट विद दैट इन्वेजन. ठीक है, इन्वेजर, दे वर इन्वेडर्स. दिस हुनस कहीं भी हिस्ट्री में पढ़ोगे, दे नेवर स्टैब्लिश देयर रूल इन इंडिया. ठीक है, तो दे जस्ट लूटेड. ठीक है, एंड दीज वर द गोल्ड कॉइन्स, तो दे लूटेड. ठीक है, तो वन यू कैन राइट अबाउट द इन्वेजन. ठीक है, तो एक इन्वेजन लिखोगे कि दिस हुनस इन्वेडेड, और उसकी वजह से इकोनॉमी पूरी डिक्लाइन हो गई. ठीक है, और गोल्ड कॉइन सबसे ज्यादा नंबर में थे, एंड गोल्ड इज द वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग, सो दे इन्वेडेड ऑल द थिंग्स. ठीक है, ओनली फ्यू थिंग्स वेर रिमेन. देन उसके अलावा और बताओ, इन्वेजन वुड बी द फर्स्ट थिंग. फिर व्हाट इज नहीं, गॉड एंड गॉडेस वाज नॉट द वन थिंग. अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ द गोल्ड, नहीं, अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ द गोल्ड कैसे होगा, ऑलरेडी इसमें बन चुका था. आगे के रूलर्स को बनाना थोड़ी है. वी नीड टू फोकस. चेंज इन रूलर, यस, चेंज इन रूलर्स एंड चेंज इन द प्रेजेंटेशन. ठीक है, सो दैट कुड बी द वन थिंग, लेकिन इसको अभी मैं नहीं रखूंगा. ठीक है, गुप्ता पीरियड में ही सोचो कि व्हाट ऑल डेवलपमेंट हैपन. अगेन यू गो बैक टू द विक्रमादित्य. ठीक है, यू सी दैट व्हाट वाज द मेजर अचीवमेंट ऑफ द गुप्ता पीरियड. टेम्पल आर्किटेक्चर. No, you all have read temple architecture, and even there is a development in the temple architecture. रोज डेवलपमेंट हो रहा है, आज तक डेवलपमेंट हो रहा है. ठीक है, एंड इवन द वॉर्स आर फॉट फॉर द टेम्पल. ठीक है, सो टेम्पल आर्किटेक्चर, तो देयर मेजर फोकस. ठीक है, मेजर फोकस इवन ऑफ द गुप्ता रूलर्स. इनिशियली गुप्ता रूलर्स फोकस्ड ऑन द, सो कुमार देवी कॉइन वाज इन द चंद्रगुप्त फर्स्ट. ठीक है, देन समुद्रगुप्त कॉइन्स वर देयर इन द दैट वीना प्लेइंग. बट हैव यू नोटिस दैट इन चंद्रगुप्त सेकंड वी टॉक्ड अबाउट एनी कॉइन. ठीक है, तो हिज फोकस वाज मूविंग टुवर्ड्स द रिलीजन. ठीक है, रिलीजन, लिटरेचर, संस्कृत. ठीक है, संस्कृत अब लिखने पे फोकस हो गया, संस्कृत ड्रामा पे फोकस हो गया, ठीक है. देन टेम्पल आर्किटेक्चर, हिज फोकस केम टू द टेम्पल आर्किटेक्चर. देन हाँ, that also we can do, ठीक है, that also we can do, but first we need to finish with it with the Gupta rulers, कि Gupta rulers के time पे क्या हो गया. And even these kind of things, that religion and temple, this was even carried forward in the other parts of the country also. तो गुप्तास के बाद जो चंदेलाज आए, ठीक है, in उड़ीसा में गंगा rulers were there who established the this all temples, who were the creators of the all temples. So they also carried forward the temple architecture, ठीक है. Then Puranas, so we need to write over that Bhagavad Gita was written, ठीक है. So major focus shifted towards the Bhagavad Gita, propagation of the Bhagavad Gita. People started to recite the Bhagavad Gita, and this was carried forward by the later Hindu rulers also, ठीक है. So this religious literature was carried forward by this. देन इन्वेजन, फिर उसके बाद देन टेम्पल्स, देन और क्या, देवनागरी. फोकस शिफ्टेड, दैट्स व्हाई आई डेलिबरेटली डिस्कस्ड अबाउट द देवनागरी, ठीक है. तो देयर फोकस आल्सो शिफ्टेड टुवर्ड्स द डेवलपमेंट ऑफ द स्क्रिप्ट, एंड मेजर फोकस शिफ्टेड टुवर्ड्स द नागरी टू देवनागरी एंड द लिटरेचर, ठीक है. देन थिएट्रिकल ट्रेडिशंस, तो अदर फॉर्म ऑफ आर्ट आल्सो केम इनटू बीइंग, जिनके बोझ तले दिस गॉट, हाँ, ये दब गया और पूरी तरह से खत्म हो गया, ठीक है. सो इट वाज नॉट एट ऑल नोटिसेबल, ओनली इन द स्ट्रे पार्ट्स वी यूज टू गेट द दिस कॉइन्स, ठीक है. दिस वाज अ वेरी ओपन एंडेड क्वेश्चन, एंड इसका देखो कि जो तुम लोग बोल रहे हो रीजंस, वो गलत नहीं है. दिस इज नॉट एट ऑल मतलब रॉन्ग थिंग, यू कैन ऑलवेज राइट दैट थिंग, बट ये है कि जो चेक करने वाला है उसको वो कितना सही लगता है, इसके ऊपर डिपेंड करता है. तो दिस इज अ सब्जेक्टिव क्वेश्चन ऑल्सो, एंड आई सी दैट कि अ काइंड ऑफ नॉट वेरी टफ क्वेश्चन, इट इज ए मतलब मीडियम कैटेगरी आई कैन कीप, कि अब तक का जो कल्चर का क्वेश्चन आता रहा है उसमें दिस वॉज अ मीडियम कैटेगरी क्वेश्चन, ठीक है. सो एंड यू ऑल हैव स्कोप टू राइट ऑल द थिंग्स, बट दो चीज मिस करोगे तो फिर देन थोड़ा मार्क्स कम होंगे, दैट इज योर इन्वेजन एंड देन फोकस ऑन द टेम्पल एंड रिलीजियस लिटरेचर, ठीक है. सो एक बार लिख के लेके आना. एक्चुअली इस क्वेश्चन में एक और चीज है कि इट ऑल्सो डिपेंड्स ऑन दैट हाउ वेल यू आर एक्सप्रेसिंग, योर एक्सप्रेशन इज ऑल्सो इंपॉर्टेंट, ठीक है. योर लैंग्वेज इज ऑल्सो इंपॉर्टेंट इन दिस काइंड ऑफ क्वेश्चन. सो एक बार लिख के लेके आओ, आई विल सी दैट कैसा लिखा गया है, ठीक है. सो दिस कॉइन्स वी कंप्लीटेड. नाउ कम टू द So after that, religious practices भी लिख ही लेते हैं, ठीक है. religious practices लिख लो. तो religious practices under Gupta. Religious practices under Guptas. So few things that we need to know, that what were the religious practices. So first thing that अभी लिखना नहीं. So at this period the trinity of gods emerged, ठीक है. So this trinity of gods were who? हाँ, त्रिदेव and त्रिदेवीज both, ठीक है. So त्रिदेव and त्रिदेवी, and त्रिदेवी. So who were Tridevs you already know, तो लिखो इसको ब्रह्मा विष्णु महेश. ठीक है. And Tridevis were the Lakshmi, Parvati and Durga. ठीक है. So these, हाँ, Saraswati was not there. At this point of time they kept Durga. Parvati and Durga was same. ठीक है. हाँ, they kept it. But this was there, that Parvati and Durga, because they used to say that कि there are kind of that कि वो change होते रहते हैं एक दूसरे से. ठीक है. But Saraswati was not in the picture at that point of time. ठीक है. She was not there. So ये थोड़े differences आते रहेंगे. ठीक है. So that would be there. But real three Devis are the Saraswati, Lakshmi and Parvati. ठीक है. But here three Devis are different. So basically that's why we used to call it Shakti cult. ठीक है. Saraswati is not the part of the Shakti cult. ठीक है. Saraswati is part of the this music, knowledge, literature, everything. Okay, so that is there. So these three emerged. Then further, what was the another important achievement of this Gupta age in the religion was the compilation of the Bhagavad Gita. So you write, next was your compilation of Bhagavad Gita by 4th century AD. By 4th century AD. Compilation of Bhagavad Gita by 4th century AD. Okay? Then one more thing that got changed. Okay? So here concept of bhakti got impetus. पहले इसको लिखवा दूंगा, but first you listen that why, what was there. So earlier when you see in the BC period, okay, so initially when we talk about all the Brahmanas dynasty, so starting from the later Vedic period and also in the Pushyamitra Sung and Kanva period, so Brahminic rituals were there, and Brahminic rituals are majorly in the form of the sacrifices, okay. So sacrifice was the major focus of the earlier rulers, but here the worship became the, bhakti became the more important thing in this period, ठीक है. तो sacrifice, ठीक है, sacrifice को छोड़ दिया इन्होंने, and worship became the, bhakti became the major focus, ठीक है. तो you write the concept of bhakti emerged in this period. The concept of bhakti emerged in this period, whereby worship superseded sacrifice. Whereby worship superseded sacrifice. तो sacrifice को पार कर गया. And अब worship became the major focus. तो worship करने के लिए जगह चाहिए, ठीक है, एक particular place चाहिए, तो that place was your temple, ठीक है, which led to initiation of temple architecture. And further institutionalization of Hindu religion. Further institutionalization of Hindu religion या Hinduism, ठीक है. Then what was the initially? So initially these temples which were made, they were brick material, ठीक है, made up of the brick. And 3 examples we need to write over here. Already अगर जो वहाँ पे लिखा होगा तो उसके अलावा भी यहाँ पे भी quote कर लो एक बार. So initially brick was the principal building material. Initially brick was the principal building material. Principal building material, ठीक है. Then you write the name of the 3 brick temples which are still surviving right now, ठीक है. So you write 3 of the important brick temples which are still surviving. 3 important brick temples which are still surviving are as follows. So can you give me one example, any example that you remember from those classes? Brick temples. So you write Dasavatar temple, and this one is also known as Nar-Narayan temple. And this is there in the Devgarh, Jhansi. Devgarh, Jhansi. Then you write Bhitari temple, Ghazipur. This was also in UP. And then you write last one, Bhitargaon temple, Kanpur. Okay, so these are the 3 examples which are still surviving. Okay, so this Dasavatar temple at Devgarh, Jhansi, then Bhitari temple in Gazipur, this is also in UP, and Bhitargaon temple, Kanpur. So all the 3 are in there in the UP. Okay, and then we did talked about the temple development stages where temple number 17, Nachana Kuthara, Parvati, okay? So they are also the part of the same, but they are still surviving in a very good the state, okay? So these are there. So now come to the, हाँ पूछो. 9th century AD? No, 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 4th century AD. वहाँ पे 4th लिखा था, वो मेरा हैंड राइटिंग गड़बड़ होगी, ठीक है? 4th century AD. It was compiled in the 4th century AD. So come to the social condition under the Guptas. Social condition under the Guptas. Social condition under the Guptas. So what happened to the women and Shudras, particularly in this period that we'll see over here. So कुछ अपने end पे बताओ कि did the condition of the women improved or not? Did they respected? They were provided respect because they were considered as the form of the Lakshmi. ठीक है? So Lakshmi बोलते थे. So that particular Lakshmi thing came from this period. Then they were respected, but there were sanctions also. Despite the respect, there were some sanctions. So initially, what happened? Ki their conditions got ameliorated, and then they were respected also. But the higher Varna women, ठीक है? Higher Varna women, they were not allowed to work outside the home. Okay? So this was the one thing, कि they were not allowed to work outside home, but this particular thing was granted to the women belonging to the lower Varna. Okay? So that is the one. So higher Varna cannot work outside home, but lower Varna, they can work outside the home. That was the one thing. Then further, Gupta period के पहले, ठीक है, the condition of the women was like that कि they were not allowed to read epics and Purana. Okay? But here, the women and Sudras, both women and Sudras, they got permission to listen epic and Purana, to listen epics and Puranas, Bhagavad Gita also, which includes Bhagavad Gita also. So these all, they were allowed to listen to this thing. Okay? So these 2 things were there. Then further, one very special category, not special, it cannot be said as a special, denigrating category emerged in this period. Okay? Denigrating category of the Sudras. Okay? So basically, पहले सुन लेना कि the Sudras in the later period, Sudras got divided into the 2 categories. Okay? One was your Nirvasita Sudra, and one was your Anirvasita Sudra. Okay? So Nirvasita Sudra and Anirvasita Sudra. So this Nirvasita Sudras, they were allowed to live in the village. ठीक है? So ये village में इनको रहना allowed था, but Anirvasita were not allowed to live in the village. ठीक है? So were not allowed. And ये कहाँ पे रहते थे? They used to live outside the villages. ठीक है? And this Anirvasita tribes were known as the Chandal. Okay? And in the today's day, people used to call them domes. Okay? So that's how the this particularly denigrating concept came into being. So first Nirvasita, Anirvasita, and then Chandal, and right now dome. Okay? So they used to live outside the outskirts of the villages. Okay? So this category emerged, and these all information is given in the book of the Fahian. Okay? So he mentioned about this all things which were there in the Gupta society. So you write, अभी एक और चीज है related to the women that I'll talk, but first you write about the first thing. So you write the position of the women. The position of the women improved a bit in this time. Improved a bit in this time. in this time, ठीक है. Then you write, they were respected, they were respected, respected, they were respected and called as, they were respected and called as form of goddess Lakshmi. They were respected and called as form of goddess Lakshmi. Goddess Lakshmi. ठीक है. Then you write, women along with the Sudras, women along with the Sudras were allowed, women along with the Sudras were allowed to listen, were allowed to listen epics and Puranas, to listen epics and Puranas and Bhagavad Gita. Epics and Puranas and Bhagavad Gita. And Bhagavad Gita. ठीक है. Then further you write, उसमें आगे लिखो, but women of higher varna, but women of higher varna, higher varna didn't have independent source of, didn't had independent source of livelihood, didn't had independent source of livelihood, independent source of livelihood. ठीक है. So बाहर जाके खुद वर्क नहीं कर सकते थे, they cannot work independently, but they were dependent upon their spouses. ठीक है. So you write, they were dependent upon their spouses. They were dependent upon their spouses. ठीक है. So you are asking why so? ठीक है. So even today that is there. कि you are not aware of the India's villages. Even I have seen it from the very close corners. I have seen that people used to say, मैं तो उसी लड़की से शादी करूँगा जो घर बैठे काम करे, जो घर में रहे. ठीक है. So घर में रहे कि घर की इज्जत बाहर नहीं जाएगी. ठीक है. So these kind of things they used to say. Even this is this is the reality even today in the very advanced age. तो वो तो बहुत पुराना टाइम था. ठीक है. So higher sections, because they considered that I don't know, but that could be the ladies were more beautiful and they were more circumspect to the other things which are happening in the Noida and Ghaziabad. So that could be there. So this one. So basically, so this was there. Then further, they didn't had this concept, but further there was something which was ensured by their parents. So if they were not allowed to have an independent source of living, so their parents started, in this period, their parents started to give some material to the girl, okay? Some material to the girl, and initially this material was meant for the maintenance of the girl. She can sell it, she can mortgage it, okay? So it was the property of the girl. But later this material became the, so initially it was called as the Stridhan, okay? And later this Stridhan became the dowry, and the husbands and their families started to proclaim that Stridhan. Okay? So that's how the concept of the dowry also emerged. Okay? So you write कि during the Gupta period, a lawgiver, and what is the name of that lawgiver? Lawgiver समझते हो ना? नहीं समझा. Lawgiver मतलब there used to be one person who used to write the laws, ठीक है? And at that point of time he was called as the law को हिंदी में क्या बोलते हैं? विधि. What is? अच्छा विधि बोलते हैं. I think विधि is the word, ठीक है? हाँ. तो he was called as the विधियक. विधेयक बाद में आता है विधियक. He was called as the विधियक, ठीक है? So this lawgiver used to exist, and who was the initial lawgiver? हाँ, Manu, ठीक है. So initial lawgiver was the Manu, but he was in the 2nd century BC during this period, Sunga period, ठीक है. But here the lawgiver was your Katyayan, ठीक है. So Katyayan was the liberal version of the lawgiver, ठीक है. So Katyayan, sorry. So he was a lawgiver and he gave the concept of the Sridhan, okay? And after which this higher Varna people, they started to give the Sridhan to their girls, okay? So you write a lawgiver, देखो कि during the Gupta period, a lawgiver Katyayan prescribed a part of the wealth, that needs to be given to the girl by their parents need to be given to the girl by their parents at the time of marriage. ठीक है? Then this was, you write, this property, yeah, this wealth was called as Sridhan. This wealth was called as Sridhan. Then further you write, आगे लिखो, it was meant for the maintenance of the girl. And she even can sell or mortgage this wealth. And she even can sell or mortgage MORTGAGE, mortgage this wealth. तो सेल भी कर सकते हैं और गिरवी भी रख सकते हैं, ठीक है? सो दिस वाज द थिंग विच वाज देयर इन द गुप्ता पीरियड, ठीक है? देन एक और कुछ इंफॉर्मेशन अबाउट द चांडालास वी नीड टू टॉक, एंड देन further districts, what were the name of the district and provinces that we need to see, ठीक है? So अब आगे लिखो इसमें about the चांडालास, ठीक है? So पैराग्राफ चेंज करना. Two categories of the Sudras emerged, which were and first लिखना first निर्वसिता, which were निर्वसिता, ठीक है? तो निर्वसिता उस साइड पे लिखा है on that end, so निर्वसिता, and then उनके आगे लिखना निर्वसिता के. So they were allowed to live inside the village. Nirvasita, they were allowed to live inside the villages. ठीक है? Then you write, second you write Anirvasita. ठीक है? And then you write, they were not allowed to live inside the village. ठीक है? Then लिखो आगे, Chandals were the Anirvasita Sudras who used to live outside the village separately. Full stop. ठीक है? Then further write, these all has been mentioned by Fahian. In his book. So, and one part we have already completed from the Gupta period. That was your literature wala part. ठीक है. So many things were written. तो आर्यभट्ट का आर्यभट्टियम, that this Kalidas, all the literature related to Kalidas we have written. Then Sudrak Mrichkatika we have written. Then Amar Simha wrote Amar Kos, ठीक है, which is the one of the book of the Sanskrit grammar. तो ये वाला नहीं लिखा है, मुझे याद है पूरी तरह से. अमर सिम्हा यू हैवंट रिटन. तो इस बुक को लिख लेना. मुझे खुद अच्छा लग रहा है कि मुझे भी याद है कि मैंने नहीं कराया है. सो बट आई हैव इंक्लूडेड इट इन दिस अदर क्लासेस. एक साथ 4-5 बैचेस होते हैं तो कंफ्यूजन हो, मुझे बहुत कंफ्यूजन होता है कि क्या मतलब कहाँ किस क्लास में कौन सा हुआ है, किस क्लास में कौन सा नहीं हुआ है. एंड इवन आई डिड हैव दिस कंफ्यूजन कि 4 बजे के बाद गुड इवनिंग बोलते हैं, गुड आफ्टरनून बोलते हैं. हाँ, बिकॉज one of my interview, it was there on the 4:35 and I said good afternoon. So he said, is it good afternoon? So I said, no sir, good evening. So do you think that it is good evening? So I am confused from that time onwards कि good evening बोलेंगे या good afternoon बोलेंगे. तो एक तो आंसर भी नहीं बताया और उसके ऊपर से कंफ्यूज भी कर दिया. ठीक है. So एक लिटरेचर में ये बस लिख लो, दिस यू राइट कि अमर सिम्हा रोट अमर कोश which is a very important book of Sanskrit grammar. So Sanskrit grammar is related. How many books we have studied till now? Padini's Ashtadhyayi was the first one. Second one, Patanjali's Mahabhashya. ठीक है. एंड थर्ड वन इज द अमर सिम्हास अमर कोश. ठीक है. सो पीरियड वाइज दिस वाज द लास्ट वन इन द संस्कृत ग्रामर. तो फर्स्ट वन अगर जो देखोगे तो यहीं पे मेंशन कर लेना. फर्स्ट वन इज द पाणिनीज अष्टाध्यायी. ठीक है. एंड देन सेकेंड वन वॉज योर पतंजलि's महाभाष्य. And then the last one was this Amar Kos by Amar Simha. So this was there. Then few terms related with the Gupta period. ठीक है. So the whole province of the Gupta, ठीक है, it was divided into the 4 part. ठीक है. So it was known as Bhukti, विषय, वीथी एंड ग्राम. ठीक है. सो भुक्ति, the whole province of the Gupta period was divided into the 4 and Bhukti was your province. ठीक है. विषय was your district. ठीक है. वीथी was your mandal. And gram you already know, village. ठीक है. तो gram is the village. What happened? चोट लग गया. अच्छा वो हाँ कभी कभी wood से ऐसा होता है, that is because of the flow of the charge. ठीक है. So वो 1-2 मिनट में ऐसे करो, that will be okay. ठीक है. So province, district, mandal and villages. That's because of the electron flow. You know about the same ना कि why it happens. That's because of the हाँ. Okay, so different things are there. So come back over here. So the whole territory was divided into this 4: Bhukti, Visay, Vithi and Gram. So Bhukti was your province, and then this was Visay was your district, this was Mandal and this was village. Then one more thing, right? You एक लिख लेना कि इनके coins, जो coins which were there in the circulation. So what was the name given to the coins? What is? Yes, very good. Dinar. So their currency was called as dinar. Their currency was called as dinar. Their currency was called as dinar. And what was the name that was given to the ministers? Amatya. Okay? So ministers were known as the Amatya. Ministers were called as Amatya. They were known as the Amatya. ठीक है? Then one more dynasty we'll see, only Harshvardhan, and then after whatever that will remain, I have already requested, so we'll get the class, but not next week. ठीक है? So दिस इज ऑल फ्रॉम द गुप्तास. इसके अलावा भी अगर जो कुछ टर्म्स मिले तो अपने नोटबुक में स्कोप रखना, ठीक है, व्हेन यू आर गोइंग थ्रू द एनसीईआरटी, सो यू कीप इट एट वन प्लेस सो दैट यू कैन रिवाइज इट इजीली. ठीक है. सो आई हैव ट्राइड टू ब्रॉट मेनी, बट अच्छा एक चीज आई फॉरगॉट, तुम लोगों ने भी बोला नहीं कि फ्रॉम वेयर आई सेड टू यू ना कि दिस चंद्रगुप्त सेकंड, तो वेयर यू यूज्ड टू गेट इंफॉर्मेशन अबाउट द चंद्रगुप्त सेकंड, दैट व्हाट ही हैड डिड. So there was one more book. No. One more book. The name of the book was your देवी चंद्रगुप्तम. ठीक है. So फिर वापस जाओ चंद्रगुप्त सेकंड वाले पे. You go back to the चंद्रगुप्त सेकंड. And you उसी में कहीं साइड में लिख लेना कि we used to get information about him from the book देवी चंद्रगुप्तम. And the interesting thing about this book is that this was not written by Kalidas or person associated in his court, but it was written by the Vishakhadat. Written by Vishakhadat. ठीक है. या यहाँ पे जहाँ पे लिटरेचर लिखा था वही लिख लेना कि it gives information about the Chandragupta second, देवी चंद्रगुप्तम. देवी चंद्रगुप्तम. ठीक है. एंड इट इज द जॉइंट स्टोरी ऑफ द कुमार देवी एंड दिस चंद्रगुप्त. ठीक है. या आज इसमें कुछ परेशान कर रहा है, आई डोंट नो, बट ये मूव हो जा रहा है. क्लास के बाद चेक कर लेना इसको. So after this Gupta period, so when decline of this Gupta period happened, तो by 6th century BC 550 में पूरे के पूरे गुप्ता रूलर्स खत्म हो गए. ठीक है. Then again one more ruler emerged in the Haryana part of the country. ठीक है. And that was your Pushyabhuti dynasty. ठीक है. So one very new dynasty emerged in this period, and they were based in the Thaneshwar in Haryana. ठीक है. And initially this Pushyabhuti dynasty which was there, they were the followers of the Shiva. ठीक है. So and most important ruler of this Pushyabhuti dynasty was your Harshvardhan. ठीक है. So Pushyabhuti dynasty was there and Harshvardhan was the most important ruler. ठीक है. So even they also did had a story. ठीक है. यहाँ भी story है कि the same Ramaguptam story is there कि lady was captured and then to save the pride of the family he killed that person. ठीक है. So the same story is also over here. तो उसी kind of story था. तो रुद्र, I think what is the name of that, Prabhakaran. ठीक है. So Prabhakaran was there from the Pushyabhuti dynasty whose wife was captured by the one another rulers, Maukharis. ठीक है. So वो स्टोरी जानने का जरूरत नहीं है, बट सेम काइंड ऑफ थिंग वाज देयर एंड देन ही एस्टैब्लिश्ड हिज रूल. ठीक है. तो व्हेन ही डिफीटेड हर्षवर्धन डिफीटेड, ही एस्टैब्लिश्ड हिज रूल. ठीक है. तो इसके बाद लिखो कि आफ्टर द डिक्लाइन ऑफ गुप्ता पीरियड, आफ्टर द डिक्लाइन ऑफ गुप्तास, नॉट गुप्ता पीरियड, पीरियड डिक्लाइन नहीं होता है. सो आफ्टर डिक्लाइन ऑफ द गुप्तास अ पॉलिटिकल वैक्यूम वाज क्रिएटेड इन नॉर्थ इंडिया. A political vacuum was created in North India, which was filled in the beginning, of 7th century AD, which was filled in the beginning of 7th century AD by Harshvardhan. By Harshvardhan. By Harshvardhan. ठीक है. Then what about Harshvardhan? So you write he who belonged to Pushyabhuti dynasty. Who belonged to Pushyabhuti dynasty. Pushyabhuti dynasty based in Thaneshwar in Haryana. Based in Thaneshwar in Haryana. Based in Thaneshwar in Haryana. ठीक है. So this was the dynasty. Then further, uh, what about Harshvardhan? So when also he came into power, so again he was the one who started to unify whole of the North India. Okay, so he defeated the Mokharis, Maitreys, many small rulers were there. Feudal lords were there, kind of feudal lords were there. Mokharis, Maitreys, okay, then kind of Banjaras were also there. Okay, so he started to defeat all these small people. Okay, and then he unified whole of the North India. But when he was venturing towards the South Indian part, and at that point of time, over here, this area was under the Chalukya rulers. Okay? So when he was moving towards the South India, so at the banks of river Narmada, he was defeated by Chalukya ruler Pulakesin II. Okay? So in this defeat, they didn't kill each other, but they did arrive at an agreement that he will not venture to this part and he will not venture to this part. Okay? So that was a kind of agreement that happened between the two. Then further, after that, this war, Huyen Sang came into his, particularly in his court. So this Huyen Sang, when he came into his court, so many interesting things happened in the his court. So what was that? Kuch pata hai? He accepted first, so he accepted Buddhism. Okay? The very first thing is that though he was follower of a seva, he accepted Buddhism. Okay? And then further he was influenced by the Huyen Sang. And under the influence of the Huyen Sang, he conducted 2 Buddhist assemblies. Okay? But these Buddhist assemblies were not purely in the Buddhist. In this Buddhist assembly, Hindus and Jainas were also invited. Okay? So they were also invited, but the purpose of the assembly that they should get converted to the Buddhism. Okay? और उस चक्कर में क्या हुआ कि दोनों assembly में, that was Prayag and Kannauj. Okay? 2 places this assembly happened. और first assembly went for the 23 days. तो first 10 days were quite okay. और उसके बाद दिन बाकी के एक हफ्ते में वो जूते चप्पल चले, आग लगा दिया पांडाल में. ठीक है? तो हर्षवर्धन को वहां से भागना पड़ा. This Hindus and Jainas. So they were so notorious that पूरे पांडाल में आग लगा दिया. ठीक है? So there were some gifts which were to be given to these people. So उसको भी पूरा आग लगा के ये लोग खत्म हो गए. ठीक है? So Huyen Sang was very sorry for that. ठीक है? So he said that कि अब अगला जो करेंगे उसमें नहीं होगा. ठीक है? So in the next assembly which happened in the Prayag, so in this assembly there was no such kind of that thing, and the same people came, and in this assembly Harshvardhan donated all of his wealth to the people. ठीक है? He became a ascetic and he left his kingdom. Okay. So that is what written in the books. And Harshvardhan was not just a pious ruler, but he was also a very good writer. Okay. So he wrote 3 books also. Naganand, Ratnavali, and one more book is there. So 3 books he wrote. And then in his period, there was one famous Sanskrit writer, Banbhat. Okay, who wrote this Harshcharit. Okay. And in this book, this all events are written he left his kingdom and donated everything. Okay? Just like the today's paper prince of this Saudi Arabia. He donated only $3.5 billion. Did you went through the news? So he has an investment. And what is the statement of the Trump? Dopey prince. Okay? Dopey prince. Did you saw that? Oh, that's why I say Times of India is the best paper. This UPSC preparation that keeps you away from the Times of India. Okay? जल्दी से क्लियर करो, टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया पढ़ना स्टार्ट करो. ठीक है? सो every kind of information is there. So he was the court poet of that this Harshcharit, and he wrote this. Banbhat was the court poet, and he wrote this Harshcharit. ठीक है? So this was about him. Then लिखो. And what is the name of the book which Huyen Sang wrote? सीयूकी, that you say. ठीक है? So सीयूकी. Then एक और बाणभट्ट का एक और क्रिएशन बता दो, अगर जो उधर नहीं लिखा है हम लोगों ने लैंग्वेज लिटरेचर में. कादम्बरी. ठीक है? तो ही रोट हर्षचरित एंड कादम्बरी. 2 बुक्स वेर देयर. सो इसको लिख लेंगे अभी. बुक्स पूछा है जब से, मतलब बुक्स पूछता है एवरी 4 and 5 year दे यूज्ड टू आस्क वन बुक कि व्हाट इज द पर्टिकुलर थीम ऑफ द सेम. ठीक है? तो लिखो, इसको आगे लिखो कि क्या लिखा था. व्हाट वाज द लास्ट थिंग? पुष्यभूति डायनेस्टी. ठीक है? देन यू राइट हर्षवर्धन यूनिफाइड. Harshvardhan unified the whole of North India. Unified the whole of North India. And when he tried, to extend his empire, when he tried to extend his empire towards the south, towards the south, towards the south, comma, his political ambition was defeated by, his political ambition was defeated by Chalukya ruler Pulakesin II, Pulakesin II, Chalukya ruler Pulakesin II, Pulakashin, Pulakesin II, Chalukya ruler Pulakesin II, on the banks of river Narmada. On the banks of river Narmada. Okay? But one more thing about this particular this battle, yeah, particular this kind of a fight. So information is the key. There is one inscription, and UPSC is in love with the inscriptions. So they used to ask the inscriptions. So in which inscription it was there? The name of the inscription was your Aihode. Okay? So this all battle is mentioned in the Aihode inscription. Okay? So you write, this is mentioned in the Aihode inscription of Karnataka. This is mentioned in Aihode inscription of Karnataka. Okay? Then you write, Harshvardhan in his initial years, was a follower of Shiva, was a follower of Shiva, but under the influence of Buddhist monk, Huyen Sang, Hiuen, okay? This is the correct spelling of the same. So Huyen Sang, Hiu, then En, okay? So Huyen Sang, he accepted Buddhism. Okay? Then you write, in order to support the Buddhism, he convened two Buddhist councils. At Prayag and Kannauj. Okay? At Prayag and Kannauj. Okay? And which version of Buddhism was discussed in this particular assembly? Mahayana. Okay? So this was the one thing. So for many days, you write, the principles of Mahayana Buddhism was discussed in this assembly. Okay? Then you write, after these assemblies were over, Harshvardhan donated all his wealth, and became a monk. Harshvardhan donated all his wealth and became a monk. Okay? And it was in this period, Harshvardhan, there was that question, I think I have discussed that Huyen Sang question. That when Huyen Sang came from the China, तो he was a kind of a चलती फिरती गाड़ी, ठीक है. So everything he was carrying on his body. So many things he was accompanied with so many things and paraphernalia. So सब कुछ लेके चल रहा था. And then in this period, Harshvardhan time, so these kind of small these Mokharis and these kind of people were there. So who were kind of a thieves, ठीक है. So he was looted at the streets of the Harshvardhan's particular Thaneshwar, ठीक है. So कन्नौज में भी लूटा, फिर उसके बाद प्रयाग में भी लूटा, मतलब everywhere, wherever he was going, so he was looted. So what finally happened that he was only left with his undergarment, ठीक है. So that was a kind of the joke which was circulated in that kingdom. So suddenly that king also came to know that there is a different kind of person whose physical attributes are different, but he was looted and he is just in one cloth, ठीक है. So then Huayin Sang was called to his court. So then Huayin Sang ko Harshvardhan listened, and then onwards he got influenced with the Huayin Sang, and to respect him he convened all these things, and also he accepted Buddhism, ठीक है. So these kind of things happened, and Huayin Sang was in the a kind of a highest praise accorded to the Harshvardhan, ठीक है. He was very much influenced by that, ठीक है. And most of the information about the Harshvardhan we used to get either from the Harshcharit or from the Huayin Sang's books Siyuki, ठीक है. So you write, we used to get the information about Harshvardhan from Huayin Sang's account, Siyuki and Harshcharit of Banabhat. Siyuki and Harshcharit of Banabhat. ठीक है. Then एक और information लिख लेना कि about the 3 books that was written by the Harshvardhan, ठीक है. So Banabhat, ठीक है. Then you write, Harshvardhan himself was an accomplished writer. Harshvardhan himself was an accomplished writer. Harshvardhan himself was an accomplished writer, and he wrote 3 books. He wrote 3 books, and you write the name of the books. So first book is your Priyadarsika. Then you write Ratnavali and Naganand. Priyadarsika, Ratnavali and Naganand. Priyadarsika, Ratnavali and Naganand. Okay, so this all, and only 2-3 points are remaining. Not 2-3 points, 2-3 dynasties are remaining. Small paragraphs would be there from the that Pala, Partihar and Pratibhoj in North India. After this Harshvardhan, 3 dynasties emerged. एक बार सुन लो, उसको अगले क्लास में कवर करेंगे. So after a decline of this Harshvardhan, so 3 dynasties emerged in North India. Palas were there in the Bihar and Bengal area, ठीक है. Partihar, ठीक है. Partihar were there in this Bundelkhand and this all the Khand area, and Rashtrakutas. So Rashtrakutas in the Maharashtra part, that Narmada area, ठीक है. And then in South India, Chalukyas, Pallavas and these Cholas were there, ठीक है. So we will talk about the Cholas, ठीक है. कि and Cholas are considered, as far as the history is concerned, so they are considered in the early medieval period, ठीक है. But architecture में they are considered under the ancient period, ठीक है.